Tom Fitton, he's the president of Judicial Watch. Tom, there you are, and good to have you with us. This is the big day. It's finally arrived. Your thoughts as we try to figure out, speculate even, about the impact of this report and what it all means.
Well, you stole my line at the beginning. The long national nightmare is over in large measure, certainly as it relates to this years-long abusive investigation of the president. It's unless there's something surprising in there, and that Andrew Weissman and the anti-Trumpers just created some nasty dossier that Barr will rubber stamp and send out. The president is been vindicated to an extraordinary degree. No additional indictments. There's never been any Russia collusion, and in many ways this report's a year plus late, because recall the three core issues were hacking, whether the Obama campaign, the Trump campaign was involved in hacking the Democrats, and whether they were involved in interference with the Russians in terms of buying ads or Facebook ads and creating false
working in any way with the Russians.
Accounts. Right, and so those indictments specifically ruled out any knowing involvement of any American. It should have been shut down a year plus ago, but instead we had a year plus of low-rent indictments by an out-of-control special counsel, and I'm glad King Mueller is finally stepping down. I don't think harassment will end, but the president deserves, if there's not an apology in the report, there ought to be.
Yeah, that's a good point, and I'm a fellow who, over the course of my life and career, I've never sought either thank yous or apologies because you can move on rather neatly from both, and you should never rely on either.
Right.
The president has to be feeling very good tonight about the fact that there are no further indictments, that the Attorney General himself is considering making as much of this public as possible. He wouldn't do so if it were in any violation of department guidelines, Department of Justice guidelines, which would prohibit making known information about those who are not charged. So it looks like it is a very good moment for this president.
Yeah, I think the Attorney General should err on the side of transparency. We're a transparency group. We'd probably sue for the documents if they weren't made publicly available in large measure.
It'd be an interesting suit, since the law requires, regulations require a great care and confidentiality in not in any way putting out information that would harm those not charged.
Well, I agree, and there would be potential privileges that could be protected by the courts if they decided to assert them. But I would take the transparency a step further. The president should go on a transparency tear in terms of releasing information behind the fraudulent FISA warrants that have been withheld to date, some of the FBI documents, the charging documents for that set Mueller in motion, the collusion between the Obama operation and the Clinton campaign, all the text messages that we still don't have access to. We need some accountability for the outrage that was the Mueller operation, which was, as you know, just a seamless part of the web of the coup operation begun under frankly, this administration with Andrew McCabe and company.
Yeah, and company, again, pointing out that none of those who've been forced to leave the Department of Justice in disgrace has yet been prosecuted. Tom Fitton, we appreciate it.
Laura Ingraham, of course, hosts the Ingraham Angle right here. She's our friend, and we're grateful to have her in our studio tonight. So, Laura, thanks a lot for coming.
Absolutely.
As you're preparing for your show tonight. There's a big media angle to this. The press really drove a lot of this behavior and drove this investigation. At Fox, we're allowed to say by our network whatever we think is true, and they support us completely in that, and I'm grateful for it. You watch the other coverage, and really it's just they're reading every hour is reading from the same. Maddow clearly says what she wants to say.
Yeah.
Everybody else seems to be reading from some script that Jeff Zucker wrote. How implicated are these channels in the travesty that we just
I think
saw?
the collusion between the media apparatus, the dominant media apparatus other than Fox, and the DNC, the deep state, is profound.
Seems
and the international elites who wanted this all to be true. We have to remember there's an international angle here, which, we're looking at the Ukraine angle and all. There's an international angle here because Donald Trump came along and he was the great disruptor on the scene. He's like, I don't buy into what you're doing at the EU, God bless you. I don't buy into all your wine cellars and your confabs and your think tanks. And this whole industry employs thousands and thousands of people. And Donald Trump said, this isn't working well for the United States. He was an existential threat to them. They cheered this whole thing on. They shell out the money for all these conferences for people like John Meacham, I like John Meacham. He's a really talented writer. But when someone like John Meacham got caught up in this at MSNBC, I was looking at this, he said, this is the very definition basically of treason. What Donald Trump did. He's a historian. This guy is like a Pulitzer Prize winning, writer. When someone like that can get caught and ensnared in this frothy frenzy to get Trump,
yes,
we have a big problem on our hands. And I am so glad. I watched every minute of your show tonight, Tucker, and as I do every night. But what you said about the need for consequences and repercussions, it's just like with things like Jussie Smollett or UVA rape case or what happened with the Kavanaugh leaks. There needs to be repercussions. Either the public needs to, decide maybe we should watch something else, or there needs to be a criminal investigation by Bill Barr into how this all went down. The FISA warrants, the leaks that happened, all this stuff has to be looked at. This cannot happen to another president of the United States.
Well, I agree. Or a Democrat or a Republican.
I don't care who you are. The criminalization of politics brought down individuals who were caught up in the gears and the machinery of the prosecution complex in this country.
No, but that's literally true. So, look, people call for my firing every day. I'm not calling for anyone else's.
Ditto.
And you're Stu, I know.
No, I don't like fire. I'm just saying, don't think more slowly about these issues.
No, but I agree,
pronounce.
but I just wonder, and I'm so grateful to work here, I'm going to say that again, but I wonder how can Jeff Zucker continue to run that channel after what we just saw? So they brought in newly released people from the government who would run our agencies, who clearly were getting information about this investigation, and putting it on the air as propaganda. It turned out to be lies. Like, how can you do that?
And all that, I think it's the Buddha said the finger's always pointed back at you. So everything they say about Trump, it's like state-run TV, you're colluding.
So
and the colluding and the state-run TV is like they're working for the deep state or the elite state or whatever you want to call it. So they're all colluding. And Trump is like, wait a second, I'm this guy from New York. I came in. I actually want to make this country better. I'm like my own man, and I know I'm going to tick you off, but I actually want America to thrive and be prosperous. And really well thought of people who are smart people are throwing the word treason, traitor. The guy should be in handcuffs. He should be let out of the Oval Office. All of these people tonight should look at themselves in the mirror and think, maybe I need to re-examine how I speak on these issues in the future. Not that we don't all make mistakes. We do. I do. You do. We all do.
I've made big mistakes.
Yeah, and as do I. But these were pronouncements that would destroy families, destroy presidencies, and as you pointed out earlier, and I'm so glad you did, the lost opportunities that we might have actually worked with countries that could box out China on things. I mean, do we really not want to work with Russia on anything? Ever again? Because last time I checked, China has the biggest threat to the United States. Russia's economy, what, is the size of France's?
Yeah, Texas.
I mean, it's like, come on. It's
they can't build a working escalator.
So now Russia and China are doing military exercises, and we're on the sidelines going, okay, we got to act really mean on everything with Russia because of this Mueller investigation. It had a profound policy effect, I think, on our government. And that we'll never know really the effect on the American people, our geopolitical position. That must be examined.
And also in the social fabric. And I notice it here, like you, I'm not from Washington, but I've spent most of my life here. I know you have too. I've known you for most of that time. This city has become paranoid, distrustful, angry. I talk to people all the time. I can't text that to you. I don't trust what do you mean you don't trust your text? What country is this? I can't have this conversation. I'm too nervous. People are afraid. Do you want to live in a place where people are afraid?
Where the prosecution state becomes so big and so powerful, a mere accusation can turn your life upside down.
Yes.
Now, Donald Trump has a lot of money. He can defend himself.
That's right.
He happened to be innocent of these charges. He knew it all along. And everyone who said, why is he meeting behind closed doors with the Russians? Why did he put Putin on the back? Whatever criticism. Maybe it's because he realized he had an obligation to the American people to look past Mueller, as hard as it was, and actually try to do the right thing in the moment for the country. They never gave him that benefit of the doubt, and he deserved that benefit of the doubt, and he never got it from them.
What happens next?
I think the left is going to go into a deeper rage. I think they'll learn nothing from this, sadly. Maybe some of the smarter folks like Meacham and others will. But I think now it's going to turn to, it's not transparent. Barr was brought in to be the cleanup man here. This isn't a serious review. So I think, again, like we're seeing on the socialism lurch, they're lurching towards socialism, slouching towards socialism. I think in this case they're going to be in a very precarious position with the internal anger from the activists who thought, we finally got the Roadrunner. We finally got Wiley. It's like the Acme TNT. We finally got him, and all of a sudden it's like meep. He's like gone again. So I think they're going to freak. I think they're going to freak, and I don't think much is going to change. But it's going to mean they're going to move more radical on the policy front and try to whip up more enthusiasm that way. I don't see what else they do. To put all their hope on the Southern District. Are we going to go back to that now? Southern District of New York,
which is grotesquely politicized.
Yeah.
So you are on in 1 hour and 6 minutes.
Why don't you hang around, Tucker?
Who's on?
We have Joe DeGeneva, we have Ken Starr, we have Robert Ray, both independent counsels, of course. And we have Byron York's going to look at the media angle. We're going to have a great show, so we're looking forward to it. And Devin Nunes is going to join us.
Sitting in my living room with a Perrier, watching every minute, as I do every night. It's great to see you.
Tucker, it's always great to be on. Anytime.